Welcome to multiple choice question 17 of the 2006 Mathematical Methods Exam 2. In this video we will be looking at the solution for this question. A reminder that this video is in no way endorsed by VCAA. And now before we move on to the question, I'd just like to point out that the use of a CAS calculator is the most efficient way to answer this question, even though it could technically be done by hand, and I will show how that can be done in this video as well. So for question 17, the function f satisfies the functional equation f of x plus y over 2 equals f of x plus f of y all over 2, where x and y are any non-zero real numbers. The question asks that a possible rule for that function could be one of the following. So the most efficient way to tackle this problem is definitely using a calculator. On the CAS calculator, go into the main menu. And now if we look back at the question, the functional equation stays the same for all of these, and it's the function that changes. So what I'm going to start by doing is just defining the function for option A. So I want to type in log e of x squared, so I can go to the keyboard and select ln for log e on the calculator, and then we put x squared in the brackets, and we can highlight that and go interactive, define as f of x. The next thing we want to do is we want to set up a statement that can be judged by the calculator. So judge is a really useful command that we've got, and it's located by clicking the down arrow to get to the catalog, and then we go across to J, and judge is the first one that appears. So we can click input, and we want to judge this functional equation. So we want to put in f of, and then wherever there's an x, we replace it with x plus y over 2. So we have x plus y divided by 2 in there. And we want to judge if that's equal to the fraction of f of x. So I'm just going to drag down the f of x from there, plus f of y over 2. So just check that you've got all that in there correct. So we've got f of x plus y over 2 equals f of x plus f of y all divided by 2. And now if we hit execute, we want the calculator to say true there for one of these options. So if it says false or undefined, it's likely that that's not the answer. So the way that I've set this up on the calculator is that we can now just change the rule that f of x is defined to be, and then keep hitting execute, and it will keep judging for each new function. So in the top line where it says define f of x equals, I'm going to get rid of the log e of x squared. I'm going to replace that with 1 on x as the function. Now hitting execute, which is what I'm about to do, will not actually change anything. So I did press execute, so it said done and undefined again, so it looked like the calculator screen didn't change. But what it's essentially told me is that the function 1 on x doesn't satisfy this functional equation either. So let's delete that again, and we're going to go to option C, which is the 2 to the power of x function. And now having my cursor on that top line, I can hit execute. And once again, I have pressed execute, but nothing changed, which means that 2 to the power of x is also not the rule for f of x that satisfies this functional equation. So we move on to option D, which is just 2x. And when I hit execute now, you can see that the second line was also recalculated, and it's judged this to be true. So that actually means that D is the correct option. Now I'll just put in the last one, which is sine of 2x, so that you can see that that comes up as undefined or false as well. So that means that that doesn't satisfy it. So the only one that worked is when f of x was 2x, the calculator judged this functional equation to be true. So based on the calculator's judgment, we know that D is the correct answer to this question. Now just before we wrap up, I will show that 2x satisfies that functional equation, but I won't be going through all of the other options. So now that we know that 2x works, replacing the left-hand side, instead of having f, we're going to put in the function 2x. So this is going to be 2 times, and then wherever there's an x, we replace it with x plus y over 2. So x plus y over 2. And the multiply by 2 and the divide by 2 that's there will mean that the left-hand side is just equal to x plus y. Next, we can look at the right-hand side of the functional equation, which says we take f of x, which is 2x, plus f of y, which will become 2y, and then divide that by 2. Now there's a common factor of 2 on the top line and the bottom line, so that also just simplifies to x plus y. So with that working, we've also shown that 2x satisfies that particular functional equation. But it's much quicker to do it using a calculator rather than manually trying to test all of those by hand. But if you did have to do it by hand, that's the process that you'd work through. You'd show that the left-hand side and the right-hand side are both equal. And from the examiner's report, we can see that this question did challenge a lot of students in the exam, with only 37% of students getting that question correct. But I do suggest that if you know how to use the judge command on your calculator, that question actually becomes relatively straightforward.